Fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. So we are all set up here, Luz and David, at this side of the screen from Evolving Education, where we do a lot of different things to inspire people with the diversity of perspectives around education and how to better support kids to be to develop their best version. And we have found that there's not a single version of that. There's not a single voice, and that is beautiful to explore that diversity of perspectives and what different people around the world can contribute to it. And today we're lucky to have with us Floris Koot from the Netherlands in a completely different weather and climate. We can see we're in the moment in Mexico, so it's pretty hot, and I see over there kind of Christmassy lighting already coming up. And yeah, we're really keen to know more about Floris. I think, Floris, you have got a kind of a life story in education that cannot touch more different aspects of it, from teaching, founding a school, game development, also working with organizations to help people explore their creativity. And because it's something that seems that it's only we need to do with kids, but when we grow up, we definitely need someone to come back and help us to play again and reconnect with the kid that we have inside of us. So we wanted to start by getting to know you a bit more and asking you what brought you to education.
I think the most fun story is when I was 10, I was asked by the teacher to come in front of the class. And thank you for doing this and inviting me. That's lovely. I love your energy, which is playful. So why isn't the topic so much? This is a good reason to have this. So when I was 10, I was called in front of the class and I totally choked up. So I was there totally being stiff in anguish. The whole class was looking at me like this.
Really engaged.
Here was looking at me like this. Oh my God, I felt horrible. And I wanted to answer the teacher's question, but I didn't know. He had asked a question, but do I need to point it? Do I explain it? Do I give nuances? So I wanted to help my brain just collapsed. At the same time, I was thinking, this is interesting. On the playground, I'm a normal kid like everyone else, but here I'm so frozen up. How is this possible? I should remember this for later. And then in 2004, I thought now is later. If I don't accept this is later, that was let's say somewhere in my 40s. It's time to address this. Already, I had also become a teacher in drama education. And that means play and creativity. I'm very playful in creativity. And I've had a lot of creative professions. So I've worked as a DJ, illustrator. I wrote television series. I directed television commercials. I did event design, role-playing game hosting. So many different creative jobs. But in 2004, I was part of a network where we asked, and this may sound weird, but if physics have new views on what reality is, then perhaps the way we organize according to old ancient laws, we need to readdress that. A simple example of this, very simple example, is the Darwin survival of the fittest, and then science discovers it's not actually, there's way more collaboration in nature than survival of the fittest. Animals have consciousness and they even will collaborate. Different species will sometimes even collaborate on things and for mutual benefits. And all those things we can only see when our perception changes, makes also new kinds of organization or treatment of animals different. So perception influences heavily how we organize things. And here we also, since this was a conference on chaos and complexity physics, I thought let's invite the teacher of chaos pilots, Denmark, which is an alternative school which has this kind of different perceptions underneath as a system.
Mhm.
And he came to the Netherlands, and we flirted with the director of this school, business-like flirting, and he flirted back. And I became part of setting up Chaos Pilots Netherlands. Which existed for a few years and then died. And then I was part of creating Nomads, kind of daughter, but our own thing. That in the meanwhile has also died, but also a little bit because of COVID, you know, all the lockdowns where you want to teach live with people. And this is also part when we talk about play, how important it is to be physically in touch with other people. You know, even the friction sometimes between people. I used to believe nasty teachers are terrible, and I will say bitter teachers are the scourge of education and should be fired immediately. But to have sometimes some difficulty with the teachers, also education in how to deal with human relationships and overcome trouble. You know, this too is part of education. We only think it's about content, but definitely it's not. So our system, our body system also needs to learn. And how does it learn? And then we're now ready, I think, for the next question. How does the body learn and the mind play?
Yeah, and that's it. And that's actually
to the next question. Why is playing so important in learning?
Well, play is how nature invented learning. That's the short answer.
I love that sentence.
Yeah, I love it.
With it.
It's my own sentence, and I'm very proud of it. But all mammals play, and if a little tiger plays with its mother's tail, you know, sometimes some documentary, then it learns not only how to react to moving targets, you know, but it also learns its mother's borders, because if mother gets irritated, then you go too far. So it learns how to establish and learn, and at the same time, it builds relationship. And if you play the simple game of tag, so I could ask you, what do you learn in the simple game of tag? What do kids learn when they play the game of tag? They learn at the same time motoric skills, so running. They learn about chasing and hunting and being hunted. So they learn, you know, really body skills. They learn how to level defeat and victory. But also in tech, there's all these other little things. And when tech becomes boring, when you're a little bit older, tech becomes boring. So then children start to collaborate on making different rules or change the rules so that it still works for them. So they make it work for everyone. Yeah. It's a very important thought when we talk about consciousness and society, that they have to make it work for everything. Also, you feel that children often have this real presence of mind when it comes to fairness. Why are you, John, why are you always running after Marie? You know, she's the slowest and the youngest. That's unfair, you know, take a little bit more, you know, these how we self-regulate during, kids self-regulate during tech.
Absolutely. I remember actually playing, now you mentioned this one, exactly that case when I was a kid, that we had a group of kids playing on the street, different ages. So the younger ones, we will term that you had to catch them twice or 3 times for them to be eliminated. So you had to catch them and then go for a different target. So they had kind of more run time, more space to enjoy the game as well. Yeah, and I that's a brilliant rule, by the way. This is a nice invention. Didn't hear it before. What we did we would run slower for the slowest kids, but a little bit across there on the edge of what they could do. So they had to cross their own edges a little bit more to make it work. You know, there was kind of in the moment finding out. So compare all the lessons learned during this to when I do a series of, let's say, French words or sums. It's only a mental exercise. I have to do something and I have no emotional connection with what I do often. And that's also killing. So by drilling
I would say, very hard kids to do exercises that they have no emotional contact with. It's actually learning to be compliant workers for industries or in jobs that make no sense. But it's not life.
Mhm.
Then what does the question was, what do you learn from play and in play? Well, you learn social skills. So you learn all about relationship, what is fair, not fair, what is winning and losing, how do I deal with setbacks, how do I keep relationship, how do I collaborate? All those things you learn at the same time in play. And teachers cannot measure what is being learned, therefore they suspect a little bit. The second thing is that you learn, of course, motoric physical skills. You learn mental skills and mental insights in relationships. And there's even, I would say, a spiritual level. So there's the level of when you play, you are present with your whole body. And when you're present with your whole body, the body knows more than the mind can on its own.
That's so true. Like even now, another personal example closer to the present is I play at the moment volleyball. And I try meditation and mindfulness and all these things, and it's so complicated. Something so simple like just being still and focusing on your breathing. But when I go playing volleyball, there's nothing else. It's really just that ball, the rest of the group of friends, and that present moment. And wow, what a change it makes on any day after lots of things that are out of my control or working and sitting in front of a laptop many hours, which I end up doing, and then suddenly just running, moving. There's really nothing more mindful to me than playing.
Yes, so volleyball is a play state in flow state, which also, of course, is happy. Works when we were still hunter-gatherers, than the hunting thing or to stay safe, in the sharpness of, walking in the forest and have this. I might be threatened even when you're totally safe, but as a kid, it creates an alertness and a being present in the here and now that is overwhelming. And then and added things are also, it helps a lot of hormones come free when you play, healthy hormones like endorphins. And also, it seems, dare I to be so straightforward? I think you have a good relationship, the two of you.
we manage, it depends on the day, but most days, yes.
Yes. So in it, I know this because I think you both have fun together and you laugh a lot and you have a playful attitude. Now, playful partners are safe. So for women, often like a playful partner because they are safe. Because if you're playful in mindset, you are flexible and you don't take everything too serious.
That's a key word, I think, flexible, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and also you have a lot of relativity. So serial killers are never playful people. They can pretend to be playful. Hey, that. That's but there's kind of another energy to it.
That's true, and I see how that flexibility plays into many other aspects of life, because when things are very strict or there's a single solution or a single way to do things and a time frame and everything is kind of controlled and fixed, it's easy to get demotivated, to your mind, to wander to some other places, to disconnect, to lose your motivation altogether. But if there's flexibility, there's room for creativity, there's room for me to take the path that are connected with the way I learn the best, or I'm more passionate about, or I relate more with people that I connect more with. So there's
millions of possibilities that make it way more fun than if there was only one way.
Yeah.
I really like the part also of when we play that that game of establishing relationship between each other and also establishing rules and so on is like the first step that we are actually living in that society and relating to other people, and the power that you feel empowered to change things when you are able to talk to others and say, hey, I don't like this thing, and then you show your point of view, and then the other person interacts and so on. So it ends up being a way to live, to learn how to live in a society and in a community.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes,
like
there's a beautiful saying by one of the core books. So one of the core books on play is Homo Ludens by Johan Huizinga, who's a Dutch writer, but it has been translated. And he said, if civilization has no aspect of playfulness, then there can be no civilization. Society without aspects of play, and you can see it when ideologies like Russian communism at its worst, regimes, fascism, when there's no ideologies and strict adherence to ideologies, or Iran morality police, they kill creativity, they kill playfulness, they kill freedom, but they also therefore mold. And this is, on political level, I would say, if a society doesn't allow enough diversity or playfulness, it cannot react well to new problems, because an ideology may not have the right answer to a new problem, or even will thwart or disturb what we see as reality. Well, in play, you experiment a lot. So you're all the time trying different things. And if you run into a wall, it still be a wall. So that's a real wall. But if we have a wall that we say for the duration of this game, you cannot cross that line because treat it as a wall. That's true. But if in society we say that line is a wall and you have to treat it like a wall, and then but the food is on the other side of the line, and one day you have to go fuck the rules. Sorry for those who are insulted.
it's okay.
But I'm going to cross the line because I need where the food is, to pretend for an hour, I cannot reach the food. Fun, but if that's your everyday experience, then it's not fun at all.
Yeah.
And also we see that also I would say a core book, and on humanity is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It also describes the story sharing and the theater little acts in even concentration camps or people who are prisoners. That's what keeps them alive. In this situation, if you have a little bit energy for playfulness and sharing, and that's where your lust for life also is rooted in, I would say, playfulness.
Yeah.
And
I see how kind of the educational systems are also starting to see that flexibility and that playfulness is kind of needed. And I think that's a switch that we're seeing from contents to abilities and skills, because of that unpredictability of the world that we live in, and how little sense it makes to everyone to provide an education that is very fixed, because we know that kids are going to need to develop in ways that we don't understand yet, and therefore they will need to be 100% flexible. That's something that we can be sure about, that no matter in which path we continue to develop along our lives, we're going to keep on evolving and adapting and changing.
Yeah, as the world is changing faster and faster, and some jobs that we thought would never be threatened by anything are also threatened. If you're a graphic designer, AI can do your job almost. We're heading in the direction. Writing, some AIs can write text better perhaps than you. So this, and at the same time, science is very slow. So as I said before, education. And I'm now talking from European perspective, and not the alternative schools, but the dominant system. There's some scientists researched play, and they discovered that if you let children play for 15 minutes, then they're more attentive in class. So because you can measure that and test that. Yeah, isn't it amazing? Oh my God.
Wow, the power of science, the scientific method.
Yes, so because that's what you can measure. But So what the fuck can so I'm really angry about these things.
Yeah.
Can I not see that during that 15 minutes, so much more is being learned than in the sitting still with attention to what the teacher think you should know, but doesn't, may not have any understanding for you. Because schools are also organized often by how we can measure progress. So the dominant system of most education is how can we measure the progress, so we can, the government can say, okay, your school did well, rather than what boosts real learning, which is playfulness.
Yeah, we have the challenge of measurements, right, in education.
Yeah, it's that standardization, right? So if we have to meet these particular standards, but then like you can measure by the exams how much you can memorize, but it's really hard to measure those soft skills, abilities. To how do you measure flexibility? How do you measure, I don't know, happiness?
I have a very sad story about this. So there was a teacher in the Netherlands, and she had one very difficult student in the class. So he was, always difficult, and he was not learning well. And then one day, the whole class visited an elderly home. And most children kind of choke up, all these strange people, and what shall we do? And the one difficult kid was having great fun with the elderly. So he was racing them in their wheelchairs across the hallway. And the elderly was screaming with laughter. And, he didn't give shit. Now, that is gold. Such a personality is gold. And then the teacher said, this is weird. I cannot give him a good mark for this because it isn't registered in what we have to register. And this is, it's heartbreaking. Because you can see that this boy has incredibly value, and the teacher is not allowed to value that in a way that, and so he might be broken somewhere during education, thinking he's not good. I also have a friend who is a musician technician. So he has HDAD. In school, terrible kid. But now he can sit behind a motherboard and do 1,000 buttons while having a conversation with the producer behind him, while listening to the musicians, while looking at measurements and extra cracks, all at the same time. That's what his HDAD gift is, is certainly excellent.
Yeah.
So, and by playing with a lot of things, we can find where our excellence is, or where we get interested, and also because of when we play, it's where the eyes start to shine. So who has shiny eyes? And when the light goes out, then you're damaging children. And a lot of teachers also tend to sometimes teach from the anxiety that they should keep the management happy. There's so much sadness and because we have to fulfill to succeed in the system as it is. This is also one of those weird things.
Yeah.
Parents, they're happy when your child succeeds in the system as it is, but the system is killing the planet. So why not learn children to be a bit more bold? And when the planet will be dying, well, soon, I don't know, then if you're not flexible and start to defending your own little wall, and this is even a problem in the world. let's I'm going perhaps a little bit overboard, but if you're a billionaire and you live in a compound that has airco and healthy gardens that have enough water because you can afford it, and in a slum, 203 kilometers away, people are dying, you don't notice it, and you think, that they should have taken better care for themselves. It is crazy. So by being in touch with as much of nature and reality as it is as possible, you learn also to see the bad things and may adapt to them.
Yeah,
and take ownership of if you want to do something about it. Like if you are not even exposed to that realities, then it's like, okay, it doesn't exist to me. But once that you are exposed, then you can choose to do something, and you can choose how you want to behave.
That's a big
Yes.
difference. And part of one of those elements of the system that we live in, the society, and that is present as well in playing is competition. The fact that we're competing all the time. You mentioned before the fittest, no, the ones that survive. And in many games we see competition as an stimulus. No, so someone might say that people don't want to play football with a team that is way worse than them because then it won't be as fun. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I was already, against. I invented with a friend a game called Switchball. Did I tell you about this? So Switchball is a sport. You cannot win at the cost of another team. And like with tech, or explain, you have to make it work for everyone as much as possible. And so if you score, you can still score in the game. It's a great feeling to get or do a beautiful save, a great feeling. But here are some rules of the game. If I score against you, David, then still you have to applaud my score. And if you do a beautiful save, I will applaud you for. So it's really playing together. Also, if I score, I get a point from you, and I have to give it away to another team. There are 5 teams at the same time in the field. So I give it to lose, and then and we discovered that about 7% of all people find it very hard. They really want competition, and if they cannot win, their efforts do not lead to winning. They go, but the overwhelming majority, once they are in it, they have so much fun just enjoying the running and the playing and being free and having fun together, that it's awesome. But why do we think competition is the thing? Because it's a dominant religion of capitalism. We know how capitalism destroys America, destroys the quality of food, destroys the quality of life. Let's not go too deep in that. It also, one of the good things of capitalism is that it's very good in distribution to where people might want stuff. They probably don't need plastics from China, but still, what I see is in the game, people just love the playing together, and still there's a lot of inventiveness. So there's also a rule where you can change the place of goals. You can change the rules of the game. Teams can shift from people. Like nowadays, most people, you might think, because a nation, Mexico, you're in Mexico now, Mexico is one large collaboration. The less it works well, the more people will live in poverty or suffer from a government. So if you collaborate within an entity, it works well. Also, the leaders of the world, if we want to fight global or do something about global pollution, we need to work together. So this is also collaboration. Then the competition actually keeps us from solving it for real, because everybody's okay. We do want to change as long as it doesn't hurt us. Interest or our business interests. And this is an ideology. And also in this game, people can change team, as I said, because most people who have work life today, they work not even 7 years for one company and shift to the next. So they need to adapt to a new reality. The years that you would work for 40 years for the same company and would get a golden watch at the end are over. That's and also professions that every day about 75 new professions are invented. Like web designer was unheard of when I was young, that didn't exist. A software writer didn't exist. Game designer.
Yeah.
So, and I'm now already calling established professions, and there are a lot of new ones. Every app means perhaps 2 new, 4 new, 20 new professions.
I was thinking in the power of collaboration. One thing that fascinated me here from Mexico is this, like in this community, in the small towns, there are small communities, and the whole town take like take care of the thing. Like, for example, there is the tequio, which everybody organized and the whole town organized together to clean one area. Or another time there was several constructions that weren't respecting the law, that like it shouldn't be like the building shouldn't have more than 3 floors, and they were doing it, and the whole community joined and stopped it. And that was the power of being able to relate to each other and to collaborate and to talk and say, hey, this is not allowed. Maybe the government is not going to take action, but we are going to take action because we are a community. And that's super powerful, because that way, like, that community is the one that is able to decide and to figure out where they want to go, more than someone else telling you where you have to go.
And this is often an incredibly power of poor people, because they have no other, and government is not coming. But for the rich people, that's why switchball is an invention of, I would say, the Netherlands, a rich country, because this quality of communal arranging it together, what children had during tag, is lost over life. And in this game, they really find that we have to make it work and fun for everyone to the max. Because in this game also, if I'm with 2 teams that are very good, the other 3 teams can gang up on the 2 to make, to balance the energy that everybody's running to their own capacity. And a little bit more, like I said in tag, when little children, have to do the little extra.
Yeah.
And so what you described is also is another aspect that's in play. You test what's important. How do I get it done? And you see that if you do it with a community, playful, we want something else changed, let's do it, is an energy that has a great power and is necessary to survive.
And I think that's something that should be a key part of any education center, any space that supports the development of children, to empower them to take responsibility for their present, for the place that where they live, where they learn, how they interact with others. And as you said, it's something that in supposedly rich countries seems to be very poor on community feelings, on belonging, on awareness and action, while in many other places maybe don't need that many material wealth to actually be more active on deciding how they want to live their lives and how they want to relate with others.
There was something also that when we have another webinar with Feijo. This is a guy he's from Portugal, but he is studying in the University of Berkeley, and he was explaining how, while we are at school, we define and create our own identity, but as individuals. So there's no so much space to collaborate and to create that identity related to the rest. So that doesn't allow us to, when we grow up, build things in that collaborative environment, because we are completely not used to it.
Yeah, no, that's weird, because at Nomads I did one day called the play day. So in the play day was at the beginning of the year, also so that students would get to know each other. But also this, what you described, this it slips out of my brain, but I knew I had to respond to this.
Collaboration,
visual identity. You have the tribal identity, and also you discover what somebody's talent is, how they behave in the tribe. So if somebody's always bringing cake for everyone, that is a quality. And then still you can address them. Are you bringing cake to please everyone? Are you bringing cake because you love to cook? Or what is it? We had one student, this is a small creative business school, and there was one student, Maria van Gobo, and she would, every break, she would play the guitar. And we said, make a record. And now, amongst another profession, she also once in a while tours the whole of Germany singing her songs. So on a business school, she learned that how to live what her talent was. So indeed, in a group setting, you can see what somebody's real talent is. And also, this is something to really consider when we design new educations. We are built biological beings as hunter-gatherers. We did that for hundreds of thousands of years, and before we were humans, we lived in little groups or family groups of the animals that we were before. And so all our basic characters are derived from what would be an addition in percentage, average, and natural for the group. So if there's somebody anxious in a group, that's very normal to have one or two in the class. And that's not, it's not that they're afraid, but it's how they're biologically programmed, because there might be alliance. So it's very healthy if you are living in a dangerous environment to have somebody like this. Put 200 of them in the same room or network, and you have a conspiracy theory and spreading, the wildest of stories. It's very good to have one in the tribe who's a psychopath, and it turns out if you raise psychopaths with lots of family love and strict rules and regulations about how you can contribute with that, then, for instance, many surgeons have psychopath tendencies, because they can cut somebody open and don't go, ooh, blood coming out. You have to take care of your mind. So the quality of being disconnected in those settings is a quality. But put 20 of them in a boardroom and have them telling to us competition is best, and we do this, and we have to fire and throw that pollution into the river because that's better for the profits. Well, kind of
some of the examples that you have put are about people finding their strengths, like you mentioned before, that girl finding that she plays very well the guitar and she can write her own songs. But you also have, I don't know if it's a training, a workshop that is focused on how to make money out of your weaknesses. I think that's
yes.
And I'm curious about what that's about.
Yeah, so this is playful thinking. So I thought, hey, school so it fits naturally in what you said, because I was giving examples of bad habits that most schools don't like, or people don't like, but you can see they also bring qualities. So schools either say, hey, David, you're very good at this, so why don't you continue that and become that which is in the follow-up of what you're very good at? Or school says, Luz, you're very bad in math, so better drop it, or you have to study very hard to keep it up otherwise. But I thought, this is weird. What if I would celebrate my weakness? So I'm very lazy. I got paid for being lazy, because as lazy person, you become very creative, because you think all the time, how can I do this easier with less effort? How can I get away with it? So you discover all these little, tricks. One of my lessons is I create a chaos. So when I was teaching to a drama teacher, they said, Floris, you are not a very good teacher because you always create a little bit of chaos. That's true, but I will give, in the play day at Nomads, I would, one exercise in the morning, I would start like this. Okay, welcome everybody. Here we are together. Is everybody in? Yeah, okay, now we've started. And then, then they panic, because what the fuck? And then one raised hand, sir, what do we need to do? No, go on, we started. Yeah, but they get puzzled totally, and it shows how they are drilled to conform to the system, or try to give the teacher what the teacher wants to see. And in a creative business school, they have to learn to think for themselves and do what their love is and what their path is. And it's drilled out of them. So that's very painful. But it also, this exercise helps to see it. But here, as a teacher, I get paid to create chaos that is very constructive or beneficial. And also big businesses have hired me to bring a little bit chaos when people were too frozen in the structures. Because it's a problem for if it takes away down innovation. So it's very healthy to hire someone sometimes who will break them out of some fixed conventions.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me of a friend that we spoke with recently, and he had done a postgraduate program, super top tier university on design and so on. And he said something similar that what you just shared, that they went up there and there wasn't almost any program. All those amazing professors were in their in their own spaces, working on their own projects, and it was like a long time, several months, until they managed to figure out, okay, we need to make the best out of the resources that we have available and develop our own projects, follow our own mission, and rather than expecting people to tell us what we have to learn and how we have to create, because it was about design thinking to solve social issues. So there's not a single solution for that. You have to mobilize, you have to follow your passion, and then start pulling strings and see what works and what doesn't.
Completely.
Yeah.
We the way, or most of our lives, we have been taught in a different way, so it's really hard to break that patterns, and that also the search for validation. It's, I mean, we are used to look like they give us rules and we follow them, and they give us instructions and we follow them, but then we look for the validation after also, like, how well did I do? Which is like, what?
Yeah, well, in general, I would say all these YouTube videos and all these business management and self-development books that say, if you want to have success, if you want to have more sex, if you want to be, more loving, if you want to build a business, follow these rules. Now, if people then, as I said, the same with ideology, if people then stick the rules and think it plays out, something dies inside when you strict follow the rules. You have to and that's why a playful attitude helps me to try things out, like how to make money with your weaknesses, and then discover it works. The first time I gave the training, half the participants were crying because it was actually a lot about self-acceptance. And there was a woman who had such a beautiful story. She was like a 50-year-old, little bit fat woman, and she went to yoga a lot. And then she was with the 30 young 30-somethings, 32 tight, slim girls who could bend in all directions, and there she was with a 50-year-old body trying to reach her toes. And she felt awful. And she started a blog about this, 100 Days of Yoga, and it was about her struggles, feeling total terrible amidst all the young people who could do every move well. And this blog got hugely popular. And then one day, a lot of elderly women asked her to be their yoga teacher, because she understood their struggles, and she could define and explain it from very deep inside. So by being honest about where you are and what you are about, so it's not always passion, but also sometimes you don't know. So in this case, this woman described her struggles and what she felt ashamed about, but her honesty is a power, and her vulnerability is a power. And also many children who are very insecure, underneath insecure, so under all weaknesses is a talent. So another is insecurity. Many, especially girls, have it more than boys, or boys hide it better, are very insecure, but underneath is sensitivity. And we live in a world where somehow we think sensitivity is a weakness, but we need way, way more sensitive leaders who care about what is the impact of my decisions on everything. So I once spoke to some Americans and said, yeah, I'm going to vote for Bush because at least he dares to take decisions. So what the fuck is the mentality and the logic of, a leader needs to dare to take decisions, and therefore cut off thinking deeper and further and thinking longer term consequences. So, and almost all these things, I read a lot, but almost everything I talk about, I have experienced and or played myself, and sometimes books help to give it words or find validation, because, Luz, yes, indeed, validation is very nice when you once in a while get it. Hurrah. But so in play, we discover what our role in a societal unit is. That's also why many adults, especially I would say in the Netherlands and Western Europe, who are less community-like than most villages like Africa or South America, go to all these festivals, because that's where the playground, where you find your role in the community. and where you get your community training and community awareness. You know, festivalism, Burning Man, you know, is an experiment ground for society. So these small festivals are so important to find what can I do, how do I fit in, and I do also exercises where we find out why you fit in, what role do you take on you, and then still I think, David, sometimes we have to question, if you say I love this is my passion and purpose, I still have to question you, because you might think that because of expectations, because of your parents, it might not be your true talent. Or I know some people who have their profession is what they're very good at, but their love is in music. So how to balance those two? Those are also, I think, important questions for life you discover in play, rather than in education, where you only learn how to do a certain profession in the end. You know, that's so
yeah.
go for life.
Yeah. I have another question. I think I remember you telling me that you supported a coup in the school or something like that. How was that? Am I right?
Yeah, there were two students who I think for teachers it's very important to all criticism against the school is help for the educational system. It's not an attack on your authority. Then that means you're very small and afraid. But if you, so these students said, we are not doing enough projects and we want to do a coup and we want to run the school for a month, because then we can do 30 projects with a group of like not even 20 students. And a staff were worried, but I said, let's do it. But I said to them, I feel you have this testosterone-driven drive to make this work, a small group of you, but not all students are in, because they feel they will be overwhelmed and not listened to. And so I allow the coup only if all the students are behind it. And they smart asses asked the most people who are most against it from the students to be the leaders and the facilitators of the process, which they did. And one of the one who led that process is now in professional meeting coach and guidance. So it also helped shape her profession. And in the coup, they did 30 projects and they failed 28 of them. Wow. Finished one kind of, and one was really a success. Because they discovered also something that we never teach in school, but they discovered personal boundaries when what can I do in 24 hours, you know, and get enough sleep. They discovered what the brain is so much faster, like you all discover here in this conversation. My brain is faster perhaps than what my body can do. So they discovered a lot of boundaries, and the failure, I think, is also an important part of education. You know, I failed a lot. I failed an incredibly lot. And I learned at one day, I used to fail on stage. So I wanted to be an actor, but I failed a lot on stage. So that was terrible. Until one day I thought I can walk onto a stage and not be afraid. I can do anything, and therefore I can listen much better to what my intuition tells me to do in any given situation, and break through the patterns of society. And sometimes
you're definitely someone that is not afraid of going through the unconventional path, and that path has taken you to start many initiatives, many educational projects in a variety of directions. And I think that the people that listen to us can probably have lots of questions and can benefit a lot from your experience starting these projects, trying to collaborate with other people to make them happen. And actually, many of them don't end up working or work during a limited amount of time. That doesn't mean it didn't work. It worked during a year or 2 years, and that's good enough. Mm-hmm. So I would really appreciate if you could share some insights, some learnings from your experience creating new educational projects.
Yeah, one thing I have to admit, I'm not a very bad organizer. So organize things and do the phone calls and do the administration and understand how that works is not my territory. So my brain immediately, when I read a difficult text, goes blank. That also happened in school, you know, bad marks. But I found so many other qualities that I didn't. But one is, it helps to bring really people together who are interested. So start building a community before you even know the plan of the school. One thing we did when we were advertising a school that didn't yet exist, I think was beautiful, to ask everyone what would be, so I could ask you, for given the time, I will not, but what is your favorite dream project and what were all the qualities you needed to fulfill that dream project? Now, when you make a list of all those qualities, we said, read them out, and then we said, that's the content of the curriculum of our school. So, and I bet on that list are also things as guts, learning how to speak to people, find funding, all these things, very personal, some very organized, driven, getting to know networks. It helps also to connect with other networks, learn from their failings, struggles, etc. It even helps to talk to the government, because you might get help where you don't expect it. Or you might learn, if you tweak a little, that they might say yes. Or you have to, break some rules sometimes. I know of an organization, they say to the government, we take care of kids who are wounded by society, and they do. But to kids, they don't say, we are here for, if you're wounded, come to us, but they say, we help you with your dreams. And then they help kids like with their dreams, but then they discover it also has a father who hits them. And that's an obstacle in them wanting to reach what they want to do, in their reaching their dreams. So then they help. But they see the child foremost as somebody with a dream who has also an obstacle, but you're not a problem child. So another thing is to think of how you organize it financially. This is not my skill, but it's very important. Who is the owner? Can you trust the owner? How will you involve the students? What role can they play? What do you want them to play? Sometimes also when you ask, some children are not organized or programmed, I would say, to be very independent thinking, I follow my own path. Some children need a nice exercise and oh yeah, now I know what to do, and they're happy to please you. Still, how to challenge it a little bit, and at the same time, allow people who they are. I have nothing with cars, but once I had a student who was so in love with selling cars, I could feel, yeah, go sell cars. That's your passion is so. I can so feel your passion for it. Then you follow it. I know people. I once met a woman who surfs around the world, goes surfing. It's what she's born for. But I also know people who surf around the world who are just lousy, rich, spoiled kids who escape all responsibility and have no plan, and are running from what they might be doing. So it's, as a teacher, always be sensitive of. So in school also, don't think the ideology will solve everything. If you as a teacher have an ideology, always be flexible. What is the child's needs? What do they listen? Have a teacher who, good cop, bad cop, have a teacher who pushes a little bit. Some children who ask to be pushed need more love. Some children who ask to be pushed need more push. Some children who ask to be loved need a push. And some children who ask to need love need a hug, and to find that out, and many such things is a journey you make together with students.
Yeah.
And perhaps another way to find, did it work, is not the testing at the end, but the results of all nomads. And one time I asked a lot of nomads who finished, where are you now, what's happening? We had one who felt unemployed, one of more than 100 students, and the rest all felt, so not that they were making good money or anything, but they all felt they were doing something that they were committed to. They were in projects, setting up businesses, trying to get somewhere, having a job, having a temporary job, but felt that, but I'm using this to get there. So, and another thing that I think is, I'm sick now at home. And twice already, former students I saw 10 years ago for the last time came to help me in the house a little bit, which says something about the relationships that are built when you make real relationships and not just functional ones.
100%. So that's a wonderful way, I think, to recap. I think that this long experience that you have in education, seeing those kids that you supported a long time ago, and that is still that the strong connection continues. And I think that's something that's a driver for so many people in education, to see that they are supporting people to grow as independent persons, and doing something from our own heart and out of just that wish to do the best for them. It's something that all kids understand, feel, and that love, I think, is going to spread back to us, but also to society in different directions through social responsibility. If anything, love, I think, is the most contagious thing that we can keep on spreading.
Yeah, and I think also in play, there has not enough research on this, but one research was done that theater lessons actually boosts learning capacity because of the social skills, and stepping into different perceptions and perspectives is essential. So that was the study that really helped, because apparently theater teachers and playful teachers don't have time to study and do formal things. So the subjects like math, where a lot of people think scientific and test and think and scores, they have a lot of reports on them, what the effect is, but play has too little. But slowly more and more books are hitting the market that tell about the importance and the power. And I would also call the sacredness of play, because it's the foundation of being a human.
Yeah, and actually, when we were advertising this webinar, there were people that replied to the comments saying, let's value play just for the sake of playing. It doesn't need to be that it brings value to learning or education. It's just beautiful in itself.
Because sometimes we tend to put that purpose.
Wrong. That's the assumption that play is beautiful in itself. But meanwhile, I'm telling you all the time, so much is being learned while you play that we don't acknowledge or don't see or deem. I don't even consciously need to know what I'm learning while I'm playing, but shitloads of learning are happening when you play. So what you just said, David, is also a way where you say, just enjoy play for itself, is not understanding how powerful the learning is when you play, even if you don't know and are not conscious about it. This is why all mammals play. Do you ever, did you ever hear a baby elephant go, well, let me learn how to grab plants from above with my, how do you call it, trunk? Let's design this very well and see what the educational, that's, no mammal is consciously about what, but they play for a reason, because playing is learning. It's how nature, and when we're back and circle back to the sentence, play is how nature invented learning. So there is no non-quality playing.
Yeah. And I think also as adults, we also have to play more.
Yeah.
Because I think that somehow like natural things have become unnatural and not really accepted in society. So adults don't play so often, but it's still so much fun, and still you can learn so many things by playing. And I think that valuing that, it's really important.
There's a nice saying by George Bernard Shaw: you don't grow old because you stop. No, you don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing. And perhaps I talk very serious in this conversation, but I have a friend who has a daughter of 11. She said, Floris, you are different from all other adults. So I said, how am I different? She said, you still know how to play.
That's kind of the best compliment that you can get.
Yeah, that is really touching. But also means I live my values.
Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a key part. I mean, to live what we preach and what we talk about, it needs to be a key part. Otherwise, there's some sort of dysfunction within our minds that it gets very tiring for everyone and hard to communicate things. So let's keep it simple and be who we say we are, and as you do with play. And Flori, has been amazing to have you with us, to have this conversation.
Yeah, the hour has passed really fast.
Yeah, learn more about
Really fast.
playing
Yeah.
games, about competition, collaboration, about the starting projects, about coups.
I stay with the part of how play can, because I never thought about playing as a space to keep also experimenting and finding which are your passions. That's something that I'm gonna remind today. That's my take home, my takeaway.
Yeah, but also remind, when you play, are in playful mood, you know more than your body consciousness know.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in our body stored that, you know, you cannot test with tests on and mental questions, but how to get things done, arrange things, be in contact with others is also part of where playfulness is extremely important for a healthy life.
Yeah.
Let's
Totally.
keep play along our
And
life.
healthy. So let's keep playing.
And anyone that
guys, it was really a pleasure. It was really fast. I enjoyed very much, and we'll speak again somewhere, somehow, someday.
yes, definitely,
For sure.
definitely. We are part of this beautiful network of education change makers that keep feeding our energies and making us believe that yes, a change is possible. Look at Floris, look at Derry, look at all these beautiful people that are doing amazing things all around the world, and how grateful we are to be in that position to share this with more people. So big hugs from here.
From here, from the Netherlands, to everyone around the world. And you can send me always a direct message if you have a question that's for you or the listeners. If you pay, I'm even willing to fly to other countries to come. And
Look at that, huh? Yeah, we'll have in the description and all of that.
Good. It was a pleasure, guys. I'll be seeing you.
Yes.
Love
Thank
your
you
work.
very much.